And I don't think Flacco not playing well in this scenario is like reason to say, hey, Flacco shouldn't be the guy. I mean, like honestly, you could say, hey, maybe Richardson might have looked better because of some of the play extension, or in some of these situations where they're mugging up and they're dropping a bunch of guys and they're rushing four. Maybe he'd be able to hurt him with his legs, because Flacco really didn't hurt him with his arm. But I think every other week we've seen, like, look at the completion percentage, look at how efficient, relatively speaking, Joe's been compared to Anthony, and the turnovers as well. So this is not a good game for Joe Flacco. You also have to remember Joe Flacco's been around a while, and so is Brian Flores, and I feel like he probably feels like he knows him pretty well. I think Indy's opportunity to win this game, and it was a real opportunity. They had a couple real opportunities. They squandered, going on the road and taking a lead, like a multi-score lead. They had an opportunity to go down. And when you're on a script, I really believe this. Your script is your best stuff, right? It's if you can score first, especially on the road, you take the ball. I don't know if they won the toss or what, but they get the ball first. They go on a drive. They're moving the rock. They're on script, and they botch a handoff. It's a 40-year-old quarterback who's done this a million times, and one of the best running backs in the league. And, that to me is like, when that happened, I kind of thought to myself, they might still win this game, but this was their best shot to go in there and get points out of the gate. They also missed a field goal as a result of an illegal shift and a negative play. And then, fast forward to late in the game, Bo, I thought they had chances at the end of the third. They gotta have it to start off the fourth quarter. You go A.D. Mitchell. You remember that circus catch, that toe tap on the sideline, which was incredible. I still couldn't believe he got 2 feet in. Great young player. And then they get to 3rd and 8, and what do? You throw the ball right to Murphy. And it was like Josh Downs is like palms up. Like, where was that going, big bro? And, Flacco, again, the next 3rd and 8, bad decision. Had Taylor in the flat, went to Pittman. Just all night, it just felt like he didn't quite know where to go with the ball. And so I want to credit Minnesota for playing a great game defensively, B-Flow having a great game plan, because for a lot of this game, it looked like, and I'm talking about the first half, Minnesota wasn't playing their best, and those interior guys were wrecking the game. And I'm talking about Stewart.
The triangle of terror.
Yeah, they kept
triangle
going.
Of pain.
Yeah.
I was so sick of that from Colin. I texted our group chat. I was like, if I hear this shit one more time. No,
if I have to see people's PFF grades on the intros one more time.
Seriously.
It's unbelievable.
But to me, like, I thought the Colts, if they want to win this game, they really need to come out early. It wasn't the best performance from the Vikings. They had a lot of mistakes. Their kicking game was weak. They had turnovers and things like that, but they still overcame and won. I think for me, it's a little bit of what you said. Like, Flacco's been around for a while. He's a completely different quarterback than Anthony Richardson. We know that. That's kind of the whole point. That's why he's starting, is to give this offense something different, try to get them in rhythm. And so I think what they need to try to do is get to their run game a little bit more. Use JT, Wisconsin stud. I'm going to look it up right now, but I think they only had like 60 or 70 yards rushing, 68 yards rushing. But for me, if the Colts want to be, successful, and they want to be the team that they are trying to be under Flacco, they need to run the hell out of the ball, protect it, play good defense, and then hit like those deep play action passes to like Alec Pierce, things like that. And they just really didn't ever feel like they got going. And I think the Vikings kind of allowed them to hang in there a lot more than,
the Vikings are a better team. Like, we knew that coming in. We just thought maybe it was a spot where, and it was like where the Vikings started a little bit slow. Obviously I don't know what incarnation Sam Darnold's looking at on that first red zone trip, and some of the shine's coming off him a little bit, but I still think he's plenty capable to lead this team to the playoffs and take them on a run. I see a really good football team when I see this team playing, and listen, they get Hawkinson back. There's a process with I don't know what reestablishing his place,
reintegrating.
Reintegrating him. You obviously. The Jefferson throwback screen was awesome on 3rd and 16. Yeah. I do think the Vikings have got hosed on a couple calls in a 2-week span. Obviously, they have, and not so obviously this time. I mean, there was still forcible contact to the head, on the. It's one that I'm not crazy about, but by the letter of the law, that's got to be called probably.
It's a penalty, and I think if you're a Vikings fan, you're justifiably upset about that, especially coming off of that egregious missed face mask. And like everyone's kind of dogging on Bradbury for getting run over by Grover Stewart for that sack, but like he snapped the ball. He clearly stepped on the right guard's foot and then just got bulldozed.
People don't see that foot thing. They never see the foot.
No, that happens all the time.
Yeah, they never see that thing.
Whenever you see an O-lineman go down in the first, 2 milliseconds of a play or whatever like that, he's getting stepped on.
Check the feet. Check the feet.
Like I watch tape with Ali Marpet a lot and stuff like that, and it's so funny when you watch tape as a D lineman with an O lineman. I'm like, oh, that's a sick bull rush. She's like, he has foot stepped on. Like, what are you talking about?
No question. But people don't care, and so listen, I think the positives for the Vikings are Robinson comes in midweek, starts, plays really well. He was actually surprisingly, in my opinion, a very big part of the run game, and didn't give up a lot of pressures, had a penalty, stuff like that. But that's really good to come in a couple of days. Also, a credit to Kevin O'Connell, who I didn't think had his best day like early on in this game, but you can believe when they came out in the second half, they were cooking. Because if you give that guy a couple minutes, and Gus Bradley's the guy on the other side, and I like Gus and everything, but that's a little bit more of a vanilla scheme. They brought a little bit more pressure, but generally speaking, I would give the edge to that offensive coordinator, that head coach. And so, they were hitting Jefferson on the dig routes. They loved that. It was finally late in the game. Indy got keen to that. They picked off Minnesota the second time, and that really gave Indy another opportunity. They just couldn't make the most of their opportunities. I wanted to shout out Cam Robinson, though, as well as just the coaches for getting this team ready to play on a week where, listen, coming off 2 losses in a row, you come home, that can be a tough deal. If you start slow in your building, you're down multiple scores possibly, and it's kind of quiet. People in Minnesota, they're not really the boo type crowd. But, if that game was in Philly, maybe they're getting booed a little bit in the first half. People can get tight. So to come out in the second half and do what they did, especially with the kicker missing multiple kicks, first time not scoring 10 points in the half, maybe all year, Reed, right?
This season.
And so, just a gutsy win for the Vikings. I don't think it tells us a ton we didn't know. And I don't think it tells us a ton we didn't know about Indy, but it was football night in America. So we had to hit that off the top.
And we talked about the slow starts, the fast starts, but the slow second halves that they had. This was the Vikings' third time under 3 seasons with Kevin O'Connell that they didn't score in the first half, but ended up winning the game.
Right.
The other 2 times was 2021, the Colts game that they came back. They were down 33-0, and they came back.
Oh, my God. That's
and
one of
then
the
Raiders that
comebacks,
they won 3-0.
Or best comebacks, worst collapses ever. I remember the Nick Mullins Raiders game.
Yep.
3-0. That was ridiculous.
Yeah.
It was ridiculous.
Yep.
I thought we were going to get a scoreless game for a lot of it, or whatever it was, 3-0.
And the reason why this is really another insult to injury for Colts fans, why this sucked, is because the Colts, their defense played really, really well.
Yeah, they did.
And it's for a game for them to play this well and your quarterback doesn't really help on the offensive end. Zaire Franklin and DeForest Buckner played out of control.
Zaire was great.
Zaire kind of bailed him out.
I think he's the leading tackler in the NFL.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
He's good. He's all over the field.
No, but here's the deal. I mean,
hey, Siri, who leads the NFL in tackles?
Zaire Franklin.
But here's the deal. There's been games where they've given up a lot on defense.
Absolutely.
And, I can think about the Jacksonville game where Flacco's keeping him in it. So, it's the ebb and flow of the deal. I don't know this team really has an identity right now.
Yeah, and it's they can't get it together on both sides at the same time.
Yeah, and they're not a bad team.
Mm-hmm.
There's a decent team in there. A team that honestly can cause some people problems if they get it together, at quarterback. But at the end of the day, it's if you don't have an identity, and I don't know what their identity is right now, you can't separate. They're kind of in the pack. They're the consummate above league average team. It's just they're going to be tough.
Yeah, going to shock some team late. Kind of.
It should be run game. I mean, their identity should be run game, and I think that's what the Anthony Richardson pick. You make that pick with that in mind. You've got quarterback run, You've got a physicality with that guy with the ball in his hands. It's great. But if you can't stay on schedule, you can't be a run team. So when you're missing speed outs and little comebacks and, you can't hit a ball in the flat, like that's part of the reason they make this move because, they want to be a run team. They want to be a run team.
I'm not going to lie, though, Chris. I was a little disappointed in Flacco. Like, I was expecting a little bit more from him. He's a 39-year-old quarterback. You see Flores' defense, like, really confuse protections and younger quarterbacks. And I was hoping that he would kind of come out and really put an end to, like, the quarterback controversy a little bit. And
right.
He really, I don't know, he didn't do much. But I thought one of the things I thought was really interesting is just watching these two defense. Like you said, Nate, the Colts defense played really well. The triangle of pain. But it's two very different defensive philosophies, right? So B-Flow is a lot of confusing blitzes, a lot of versatile players that play in, all sorts of different positions and a lot of pre-snap confusion, hidden coverages, shit like that. Whereas I feel like the Colts, they're just 4 down, cover 3, don't blitz
very
a lot,
basic.
get vertical.
They've been blitzing more, but very
more
basic.
about their players.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they just need their players to play well
defensively
if they want to play well defensively. And so that's one thing I thought was interesting in this game. And the Colts defense did play well. So